what I'd like to do is I'd like to have the entire class to come up here, and I've got a little gouge sheet that I'd like to have you go ahead and work out. That it gives your name, state your name, and if you are of Indian ancestry, I'd like to make sure that you go ahead and tell if you're of Indian ancestry, wherever you're from, and so on and so forth. Where you're from, your hometown, your state, and also if you're a college student, what your major is. If you're a high school student like Butch, we'll go ahead and say that you're just a high school student and where you're going to school. If you're out of school, give a little bit about your background and your education. And then I'd like to also have you say why, or give a little bit of background, why you enrolled in the Advanced Indian Sign Language class. And then I'd like to have everybody get up and tell just a little bit of history about yourself before we get into the signs. But I'd like to, then that way we can go ahead and have this for record for the college itself. And we can go ahead and edit it out and make it work. Right. No, but this is what I still want to do, is I want to get this on video for this, and then you guys can still go ahead and tell your story. But I still want to go ahead and let you explain it in English so everybody understands and knows why you are here, a little bit about your background, because they might want to edit this for future classes. So this is one of the reasons I'd like to have up, and I'd like to come up, and we'd like to come up in enrolled class order. We'll start with Holly, John, Jim, Janice, and then Chan, Butch, Doug. Well, Butch Martin isn't here, but we'll go with Doug, and then with Little Butch and Lonnie. But I'd like to have you come up and just, I'll leave this little gouge sheet right here, and just tell a little bit about yourself. Holly?
My name's Holly Bethany. I'm from St. Petersburg, Florida. I have Cherokee ancestry, and I am a college student here at CWC. I'm majoring in pre-law and business law, and I enrolled in the Advanced Indian Sign Language class because I have so many hard classes that it's something that's fun and interesting and lets me know a little bit about the ancestry of the Indians and the people who were in this land first.
Hi, my name is John Bash. I'm from Riverton. I became interested in the Indian Sign Language program through Mr. LeClair's coming down to our 1838 rendezvous last summer and the year before and putting on a demonstration on it. I took the beginner's class last fall and found it very fascinating getting involved with some of the history and background of the Indian culture, and as a result enrolled in the advanced program. And I've enjoyed it immensely and hope to continue finding out more and more about the Native American culture.
My name is Jim Bonsell. I live here in Riverton. I have lived here in Riverton for the past 20 years. I am not of Native American ancestry. I have a small business that I've had for the past 20 years. I come in contact with many Native American people, and through the advanced sign language class, it has really enlightened me as far as knowing and understanding Native American people. The class has been very fun, very interesting, and it's something new and different to learn.
My name is Doug Newman, and I live in Riverton. I'm a plumber, and I'm not of Native American ancestry. I'm Irish. my reason for taking this class is to become more familiar with Indian culture. And to my notion, this class has done a real good job at doing that. And I hope that there's another class later that we can take.
I'm Janice P. Bradley, and I'm a Shoshone Indian. I was born and raised here. I'm the 4th generation to be raised in this country. I teach weight training at the high school and use a lot of sign language to tell my kids to hurry up and run fast and move around. I enrolled in this class because many of the people that are in here, we do different activities together, and it's a way of communication, and it's kind of fun, and this is a way we can keep up with it.
Okay, my name is Daryl Saunders. I'm from Riverton. I'm enrolled at the Riverton High School, 9th grade, and I don't have any Indian background. But the reason I took this class is because I was interested in it, and I thought I could make something out of it, and at my age I thought it would really be great.
My name is Lonnie Weeks. I'm living in Riverton now. I'm originally from Montana. I'm an enrolled Assiniboine Indian. The reason I took this class is I took the beginner's class a 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and enjoyed it so much. And I'm also a part-time substitute and a tutor out at Wyoming Indian schools. And I have been passing it on to the 3rd and 4th graders in that school also. And we've enjoyed doing it. And I feel that because I'm Indian, I should know this. And also I have 2 little girls that I want to pass this on to. I'd like to see a lot of younger people learn this and have it passed on to them also. Thank you. I may add that I am a graduate of CWC, May of 1989. I majored in psychology and got my degree in that. And while I was here at CWC, at 46 years old, it was a very rewarding experience for me. It's something that I've always wanted to do, was get an education and be something other than a laborer, common laborer all my life, milking cows and whatnot. And this led me to do bigger and better things. 2 months before I graduated, I had some assistance through vocational rehab and started up my own business, Friday and Lonnie's business, which took off like a bombshell. It succeeds my wildest dreams, and my family and I run that in the summertime, and then, like I say, I work in the school system in the wintertime. So if anybody that is seeing this tape, I would encourage them not only to go to CWC or a college of their choice, but to further their education, to learn the different cultures, to be, other than a follower, be a leader. It's so simple and so easy to do. People will follow, but it takes a hell of a person to be a leader. And I feel each and every one of us in this room are leaders, and I hope that the majority of us will put what we're learning through this class of Mr. LeClair. I hope we'll put it to some good use further down the line. Thank you.
Young man Chen from Hong Kong, a college student, major economics. I took this class because my friends introduced the class to me in last semester and invited me to the class, and I feel it's so interesting, and it could stimulate me to learn other culture other than the Chinese culture. And I just think the sign language, like the drama, no need to speak, and just to stimulate myself to think and how in others' culture.
Of the Indian Sign Language, both intermediate and advanced. My name is Willie LeClair. I am an enrolled Shoshone, a member of the Shoshone tribe of the Wind River Indian Reservation. I was born and raised on the Wind River Reservation. I participate in the Indian culture, different ceremonies, the dances, the traditional way of life. I was asked several years with the lifelong learning program, Mr. Murray and also Mr. Ratna of CWC College asked me to teach this class. And at first I was a little bit reluctant to teach this class because I didn't feel that I was capable to be able to pass on a storytelling, an Indian heritage, an Indian tradition that is continued to be passed on to the people. I went and talked to several of the elders of the Shoshone tribe and also elders of the Arapaho tribe. And at that time, when I talked to them and I asked them, I said, I want to talk to the people. And I want to be able to give something from my heart to let them understand the long stories, the long legends. And at that time, the old men, they said to me, they says, good, this is good to tell that, to be able to pass it on to your people, the Indian people. And so this is what inspired me. They told me as long as there was at least one Indian person, man, woman, or young one, to be able to take this class, then I would be passing it on and I would be giving it to people, to our people. And that is what makes this class so interesting to teach, because of the background, and it's also a teaching to myself, because I continue to look for the education that is passed on through storytelling, through the Indian legends, through the Indian stories, which are only to be told in the cold moon months. These are the way of the Indian people. And tonight, what we'd like to do is, for one of our final exams, we're going to have our students, several of our students that have been pre-assigned assignments, to be able to come up here and put this on videotape for future use for CWC College. And I think the staff and the cooperation that I've got from all of the staff here at CWC and everybody involved, I think it makes CWC one of the best learning places anywhere that a person would want to go. And being able to teach this to the people is my honest effort, my honest goal, and I want to be true and honest to all of our students. And so, first of all, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have Holly and Janice to come up, and they will go ahead and tell us a little sign and be able to continue along with this will be their final exam, and we'll utilize as much time as we possibly can. They will sign and make the signs, and after they get through with their signs, and then they'll come in and redo the signing and interpret. But the first will be completely silent with no background signs, and then they'll come back in and tell the stories, or however they'd like to worship. This is their class, this is their final. Go ahead.
We did this in a conversation back and forth. Is that
Great,
okay?
fine, great.
She talks and I say what she's saying.
Okay, get up right there where Chen can get a good shot, because what we'll do is we'll go ahead and edit this tape anyhow. It ain't, we'll just edit it where it'll be used. Get where you're comfortable, but
So can she interpret as I
yeah,
say?
whatever we can both work it out.
You tell us when you're ready.
Welcome to Indian Talk.
Are you ready?
Are you ready? you see us?
As Janice signs, I will interpret what she is saying, and as I sign, Janice will interpret what I am saying. I am a Shoshone. I am called Brown Eyes.
Holly is a Cherokee. She comes from the Watergrass people. Her mother
Her name.
your name is the woman who trades dead horses. Yes. I live in the Wind River since I was a baby. My mother, my brother, live. Holly's from far away. Her mother is still way over there where there's lots of water. Her brother is a serviceman.
Janice asked if I lived with her brother.
And she says she does. She lives with my brother and she's friends with my brother's daughter. And my son, 2 sons. One daughter. And they're good people. Okay.
Indian people, many, we ride horses together. Good, little pig.
She's saying she's not good. She rode her horse, and the horse got to bucking and it ran away with her. And she was all gone. She didn't have any reins, and she cut her finger.
Janice asked about how I ended up sideways on my horse.
She rode and it kept bucking. And she knew that she was in trouble, so she grabbed its neck and she leaned over to the side until she got off. She was holding on really hard and tight. And the horse was kind of slowing down and she was holding on and she finally jumped off or fell off.
You're bloody. Your legs are sore. I ride.
She walked for a long time, sore. My sons, they're 2 sons. They understand she's afraid to ride the horse again. She said the horse is no good.
She asked if I would trade the horse for a dead one. Your sons will teach me to ride good. No fall off, no kick.
little son, he told her she's through riding. She can't quit riding. She's gonna ride, and my son's gonna kill her if she doesn't.
She asked if my leg and my rear end, I could go swimming. It'd be good. Would I dance? Yes.
Okay. She'll go dancing until sun's up.
She will go home because she is tired and she wishes to go to sleep.
Okay, very good, very good.
You guys kind of relaxed after you got into it.
We sure didn't start out.
Once again, that just comes to show you the signs, the way that you can go ahead. This is Indian conversational sign language in the advanced stages. This is, as we teach it in each one of the classes, this is not the gospel truth. This is the only way that you can sign. Any way that you can go ahead and be able to get your story across, we may be able to make it clarified to the individuals that are sitting out there so that they understand. This is the sign that their heart understands, that they know that when they're talking, it's good. You see many of them signs in this conversation. Again, this is very well done. I think this is, we've accomplished one of our main goals, be able to carry on a conversation with our sign language. John, would you like to go ahead and come up? now why don't you stand up there and just shorten up your story and go ahead and tell the interpretation, just like we did before. Just go ahead and shorten it up.
So don't know how to speak it.
Huh?
Many years ago, traveling in the country 2 mountains over, across the plains, saw what looked same as moonscape, craters of the moon area. Met a Shoshone man who told me the legend about many, many years, many snows back. There was a huge snake, big, long, long snake, laid where the river now flows. That was his bed. He slept there all through the winter. In the spring, when the flowers started to come up, the snake got up, went over to this mountain, and wrapped himself around that mountain, and laid there soaking up the warmth coming down from the sun, getting warm, getting comfortable. Then came thunder and lightning, made the snake mad. He started tightening around the mountain, squeezing it. The more the thunder and lightning came, the tighter he squeezed, until he squeezed the mountain so tight that it threw up molten rock, real hot rocks, melted rocks. They flowed down, burned the snake, burned him down to nothing but charred embers. The mountain, gone, no more. All that is left is an area, look, same as moonscape.
Very good. Okay, Ken, if you want to go ahead.
Don't turn it on yet. I'm ready here. what the story goes, I got kind of stage fright there, I guess, because I left out a little bit of it. There was a grandfather in the old days. The people had lost all their love. They were greedy. They had a hate for each other. Grandfather told them to pray, and they said, "No good, don't work." Grandfather said, "Send me 4 of your young warriors." They sent him 4 warriors. He sent the first warrior. He said, Go to the land where the rocks are at, where the snake lives. Bring me back a snake tree leaf." The boy took off. The second boy come and stood in front of me. He said, "Go to where the beaver lives. Help the beaver build his home. Inside that home, you'll find a plum bush. Bring me that." The third warrior come up. Grandfather told him, "Go to where the coyotes live. The mother and the father coyote. Bring me back 7 grains of wheat." The warrior took off. The fourth warrior come in front of grandfather. He said, "Go to where the sun lives. Bring me back a pottery bowl of sand." They took off. Grandfather told all the people to go to their lodges and wait. 4 days went by. The 4th day, 4th sun up, grandfather looked up and seen first warrior coming back. He asked the warrior, "Did you get the snake leaf?" The warrior says, "No, I couldn't find it." He said, "Go. You will be like the raven. You will eat nothing but the dead." The second warrior come back. Grandfather looked up. "Did you get it? Did you get the blossom or the plum blossom?" The warrior said, "No." He said, "Go. You will be like the lizard or like the snake in the hot sun." The third warrior come back. He had went to the coyote's den. "Did you get it?" The coyote's den. "Oh, that's it. Coyote is this way. This is the wolf. This is coyote." The warrior says, "No, I didn't get it. I didn't find it." The fourth warrior, the grandfather was so sad by then, he would just sit with his head down crying, sad, because these warriors were not strong enough to get what they were asked to get to save their people. Had his head down, and the fourth warrior come walking up. Grandfather, here is the pottery bowl full of sand." Grandfather looked up, seen it, and smiled, and said, "My son, you will be like the sparrow. You will sing to the people each and every morning, for you will not live. You're too weak." All the people come out, and that's the way the people were saved from their hate and greed and not loving each other and not praying to grandfather.
Thank you.
the old time. And the last story talk about how between the peoples and the animals. The first story is a long time ago in China. In winters, a boy's mother is sick, and the doctors told the boy say that his mother need to eat the fish, then his mother will become good, better. But so the boy go to the lake. The lake is there's no water, the ice on the lake. So the boy put all his clothes and lie on the ice, and he think that his body could make a holes on the lake, and so he could fish in. He could get the fish for his mother, and people from the village saw that, say the boy is good. And the other story is in old times there's no air conditioning, and there's more insects to bite people when they are sleeping. And the boys, they put a bowl for water. People believe that the water could attract the insects come from around, and so the boys attract all the insects come here and then put off his clothes, and then his body bites by the insect. So the insects will not bite his parents and his family. And people think that this is good. The first story is the boys. The boys in every story is different, not the same persons. You need to go to look after the cow, the buffalo, from the day sunrise to sundown, and he had no time to read and write. Of course, he could not go to school. So in the daytime, he catch the insects which burn at night. So he used a cloth bag to collect all the insects, and then at night the insects burn, so he could read by the night come from the insects. And the last story is a man, I don't know for what reason, he wear some animals, and he give one day he give 4 meals to the animals at the morning, and at night he give 3 meals, not meals, it's 3 bowl of rice or some food to the animal. And the middle thing that at the morning I get 4 bowls of food, and at night I have 3 bowls of food, and they think that you, the man, are bad. You give me lesser food than the morning. The second day, the man give 3 bowls of food to the animals, and at night he give the animals 4 bowls of food. The animal think that you are good. You give me 3 bowls of food in the morning, and at night you give me 4 bowls. Say you are good.
Very good. This is just to follow along with Chan's story. This just goes along to show you how easy it is to be able to learn the sign language. He did not take the intermediate class, but I let him visit a couple of our beginners classes, and he showed very good signing, great interest in it. He was interested in it from the deepest part of his heart. And I believe that the Indian way, that this is how it comes out to be. That if it's inside your heart, you can learn it. And like what Chan did there, an exchange student from China, from Hong Kong, I think gives a real good example that any student enrolled in any college, any class, whatever, if you set your mind to do it, you can come out and do a very successful job, and also to be able to get good grades and be able to come out and have a successful future ahead of you with any kind of learning that a person can come out with in any way of shape or form, that you can come out and better your education, better your mind, better the understanding of different cultures. And I think this is one of the things that our class has done. We've come in here and we've utilized our people that have had no background, so-called, in the Native American culture, but yet come in and still be able to pick it up in the story form, like it was told of me, to be able to teach it, pass it on to our Indian people. And I think this is where we've been so successful, being able to work at that. And I think that with the video that we're gonna go ahead and have out of this class, I think this is also gonna be a real good selling item to be able to show future classes. This is the reason that you can take it. This is some of the advantages of it. This is some of the things that you'll be able to retain. And this is also just like any other foreign language or whatever, or in the communication fields, you've got to be able to go ahead and use it to be and retain it. And as many as these students that have come into our advanced class, I think was very successful. And I think we can go ahead and have a good follow-up on it. What I'd like to do at this time, why don't we start with you, Janice? Why don't you come up and just give us a little bit of what you feel and what you've accomplished out of the beginning classes and also in the advanced, and just kind of give us a summary of how you felt. And then we'll just go around the classes and have everybody have their input on what they got out of the class, what they achieved, what one of their goals was, and
Are you ready?
Yeah.
I would say that from our beginning class, Lonnie was in the class with me. I think we learned a lot in there about communication as far as coming the Indian way. Willie started out the class saying that we had to think Indian, not white, if we wanted to be able to communicate. And that's been a basis that I have kept. It's been nice because it's honest talk between myself and my family and my friends. And when we're working outside or we go someplace, we can sign and communicate when we wouldn't be able to do that if we were trying to talk to that person. There's been situations that, with Jim and I even, that we communicated in sign language, right, when there were people like from here to that table from us, and they didn't have any idea what we were talking about. And I think that's an advantage sometimes. I think you can learn. I also think that maybe I listen better for what people are saying or mean as a result of the sign language. I think a lot of the culture that Willie's brought in has been a real asset to me. And probably one of the most fun things is my kids have learned a lot of the signs, but my little grandbabies are learning it. And to watch how fast they pick it up, and they know where to identify with them. So it's going to carry on for the generations in our culture. And I think the humor that can come out with it is just an added plus.
do you believe, Janice, that you achieved the goals that you set out to at the beginning when you first got into the sign language in the beginning and also in the advanced class?
Well, when I first took it, I took it to learn. And so as far as setting goals, it was just to learn. But probably one of the big experiences that show a goal is I had an opportunity to sign to my high school classes a slide presentation put on by a Sioux Indian that came and did the tree as basis of life. And as his slides of music when I signed that for them. So that was above any goal that, I never thought could happen. I think the experience is much higher than what a person expects. We learn a lot more than we know. Once we relax, we can sign and do the things.
Thank you. Holly?
When I first started taking this class, I had no idea of my heritage. I knew that I had some French and German, and that's about it. This class has made me want to know my heritage. I found out through this class from my family that we do have Cherokee, and we're also Scottish, and it's made me want to look at all of the culture that is in myself. And with Willie and Janice and Janice's family. I've learned to love that part of myself that is Indian and to be proud of that and to want to learn more. And so I haven't achieved my goals yet because I haven't fully become the Indian way. And I've been open to a lot of the culture that is so beautiful and so real that it makes me want to learn more. I'll cry.
Great, great. Well, at the opening of this class, I mentioned that my reason for wanting to be here in the first place is to become more familiar with Native American culture. I lived in Riverton for 20 years and I don't really know a lot about it. I didn't know a lot about it. And last summer I saw Willie in a demonstration down at the Rendezvous. And when I saw that, I decided, well, this is the way for me to learn. I mean, this is one of the ways for me to learn. And so as I considered taking the class, I asked myself why I want to take it, and I came to this class with a very definite reason, and it's fairly simple. It's just that I want to become more familiar with Native American culture. And I learned a language earlier in my life, another language, and I found that learning a language is one of the best ways you can have to learn about another culture. And the signing language that we've learned here has taught me a tremendous amount about Indian ways. And I think one of the results of this class is that although I'm Irish, I'm part Indian now. I really appreciate it. And I thank you, Willie, for the part that you played in that.
Thank you. Thank you.
The beginning sign language class was a series of lessons each week, learning what each word meant in a sign, or each sign meant to a word. And we were given, by the end of the class, approximately 400 words, and we were to learn the signs, and we would sign back and forth, kind of a repetition type testing process among each other, or among the teacher and the student, and a quiz in this manner. The second advanced class here has been a process of utilizing the words and the signs that we learned in the beginning class, and to compose them into a story form, and get your thoughts together and be able to communicate with somebody with purpose in mind, instead of, like the first class, just, you know, the sign for the dog was this and the wolf was such. And this creates your mind, gets your mind to create different stories and communications and lines of thought. And it's been very interesting to me in this manner, having dealt with the Indian and Native American people for quite a while. This one older gentleman in particular would come in and start doing all these signs to me. It just made me look foolish. I mean, I didn't know what he was saying. And I found a way here that I could communicate with this guy. And it makes him happy. You know, I converse at least twice a week along this manner. Another Native American lady is a mute. She cannot speak. So she and I use this as our only means of communication. And at first, when I did the signs to her, she was surprised, and she was kind of afraid. She didn't know if she really accepted this or not. But as time went on, 2 or 3 times down the road, communicating with her, and it's become okay with her. And as far as having any real goals in mind to accomplish in this particular class, I guess the ability to communicate with just these 2 people would be a goal that I really did have in mind. And yes, I have accomplished it. Also, the teaching of the not only the signs, but the culture, the legends that we learned about in this class that has been brought to us by Willie have been very beneficial. And also it helps you to really understand why Native Americans do certain things and why they don't do certain things. I'd recommend the class to anybody that wants to learn something different.
Yeah, Jim, don't you think too that when you was able to communicate with this lady in her own sign, that was one of the greatest feelings that you've ever had in your life, to be able to say, this is the only way that she can communicate, and now I can communicate with her.
And you could feel the enjoyment from her back to me too.
Which?
The classes, the first one, I took it, was really interesting. It was, at first it was kind of complicated for me to remember all the signs and get them down, really good. But once I got them down and all, it made me feel good, because I could go down, I'd go home, I could talk to my dad, and I know what he's saying, and he helped me a lot. And then now that this advance is getting to be a lot better at it, I can go to school and I can show a lot of my friends it. And I've got a few friends now that I've showed it, and now we can talk at school. And they've taught other friends. And it kind of makes me feel good to teach them something that I've learned.
Butch, how do you feel coming up here as just a high school student, coming in and moving into the college atmosphere and being with older students, college students, and everybody that's a lot older than you? How do you feel as being in just your adolescence and coming up here and taking a college class at CWC?
Makes me feel pretty good, because it's something to really look forward to in the future.
Thank you.
Hard to say in a lot of ways. What first drew me in, watching Willie put on the program down at the Rendezvous, my interest in the fur trade era, my interest in other people and their cultures and the way they like to live, led me into the class. And I think I would have to say that what I got out of it was far more than just the means of learning to communicate with other than the spoken word, but rather to use sign language and communicate not only by speaking with my hands, but feeling it and understanding it in the heart. Some of the cultural things that I've found here in the legends, there is a strain that runs through the Indian culture that I've seen in other cultures. I think there is a great deal of good to be had. People can get their hearts up if they look into other cultures, stop locking themselves in their own little world and seeing very little outside of it. They have a tendency to look within and see nothing. This course has been, I think, just nothing short of fantastic in giving me an insight into something that all the history books have definitely bypassed completely.
John, do you feel that in your interest and everything with the fur trading era, that this will be help to broaden your knowledge and also give you a lot more insight and a little bit more fun when you go to these rendezvous?
Very definitely. The biggest thing it's going to do is, as we develop this rendezvous site here, the Heritage Center to go along with it, we'll be incorporating, I think, into that Heritage Center a much truer picture of the Indians and the Indian way of life and what their things meant, because too many times the Indian culture was laughed at by the white man, ridiculed by the white man as they came out, simply because they did not understand it. And people tend to be this way. If they don't understand it, they ridicule it and put it down. This is not right. Things are overlooked. Important things are overlooked. But no, I think it'll help a great deal.
Good.
As every language, culture has its own view on the world, its own philosophy on how the world works. I want everyone to stick by his own culture on how they view on the world. So I want to learn others' language from others' culture to stimulate myself to discover the world. And this Indian Sign Language, as I guess, is developed in the hunting and gathering society. So it's so easy to learn. It's just emphasize the the aspect of the basic human need, eating and hunting only. And it's the language is developed as based on the common sense, and even based on come from the Asian, Hong Kong. Everything is the language is so globalizations, no gap between different nations.
Chad, did you believe that coming from your culture, how do you feel that it kind of intermingled with the Native American or the Indian culture? Is it got a lot of the same aspects and feelings of it?
Actually, I understand the Indian culture is a bit. I can't compare what's the same, but from the newspaper, someone say that the Indian Native Americans is come from China thousands of years ago, but we share as our the Indian share the same belief with the Chinese to believe we need to mountain to enjoy the leisure.
Okay, thank you.
I think and I feel that learning the sign language has given me a closer tie to my Indianness. I never learned my Indian language because at the time I was born, it was forbidden to talk Indian within the family households. It was forbidden to talk Indian in boarding schools. It was forbidden to do anything that had to do with being Indian. We had to learn the white man's ways. That was my parents, my grandparents. So consequently, it wasn't handed down to a lot of us. A lot of us didn't enjoy the being Indian like Willie did and like Janet did. Well, we were taught and we were raised totally white. And thanks to Willie being here and many other Indian friends I've acquired out here, I've learned to talk sign, to talk Indian, which was taught many, many, many years ago before the white man come over here. Another achievement that I feel I got by it is having gotten an opportunity to work in the elementary schools like I have the past year and a half. I've worked with the little ones, the third graders, the fourth graders, the fifth graders. And we have a certain amount of free time since I've learned this sign language. I've asked the little ones, would you like to learn some elementary sign language? Yes, yes, betcha. So I've taught them different ones, and the ones that I've known passed on to them. I've had mothers and fathers come back to me and say thanks. Because we don't know it, we couldn't pass it on to our children. Our grandparents may know it, but they're gone. They never taught us. There's so much of that Indian Sign Language the Indians don't know on the reservation. So we all in here should feel very, very honored to be able to have learned this. I personally don't think I could find anyone out here on the reservation that would take the time, the effort, to teach me sign language like I have learned from Willie here. The college I want to thank for letting Willie, getting Willie to come in here and helping with him and getting this set up. But I think the greatest achievement is being able to pass this on to my little ones, my own little ones, so they know being Indian is good. At the summertime with my concession stand, with my business, I go to powwows all over the Northwest here. This year I'm going south. I'm going to watch. I'm going to look. I'm going to see how many people talk sign. I'll be able to talk with them. Because they may talk their native language, they may not know English, but we can still talk sign. My little ones, I want them to watch and learn the same way. So I think that's the greatest achievement is being able to learn this, to pass on the Indianness that's in me and in my family. I think it's something that that very few Indians can say they can be proud of nowadays. They say they're proud. Not many of them can speak their own tongue. None of them can speak, very few can speak sign. They talk about carrying on traditions. It's done haphazardly. It's not done the old Indian way like this man has taught us the Indian Sign Language. He learned it from the old Indian, the old way. We know it's good. So I feel grateful and honored to have been invited into this class and have learned this stuff. And I want to thank Willie, and I want to thank each and every one of you for helping me and teaching me and letting me learn right along with you. Thanks.
Well, to go ahead and kind of to wrap this tape up, I've achieved at least 3 of my goals with this last class, with Janice, with Holly, with Lonnie. This is passing on the Indian tradition during the moons, the cold moon months, the old traditional way. And I'd like to also end up by wrapping this tape up and saying, this class here, again, I give it back to my little friend, Almo Roberts, who the class is dedicated. Thank you. Chan, can you